People looking at me funny, I wish they'd understand. I'm just trying to keep from peeing my pants.
Ready? Hang on a second. Hang on a second. Let me just... Warning. Viewer discretion is required for this next story, and my suggestion is that adults should turn this off immediately and meet me at the next story because the content is not for you. The content in this particular story is for children, little kids, cheeky little kids. Kids sort of like the kids I've got for grandchildren. Now my grandchildren go from 18 months old up to 12 years old, and every time we meet together there's two topics that they like to talk about, and both of these topics will bring them into hysterics. So what are these two topics? Poo and wee. Yep, poo and wee. I don't know what it is about poo and wee, but every time we talk about poo and wee, we laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh. So adults, you don't need to be seeing this. But for you kids, I've got 3 wee little stories. When I was about 12 years old, me and my mate Mike, we used to come down to Heathmont Station here, get on a train, not one of the beautiful trains you have now, they were old red Rattlers and these other blue ones, and we'd go into the city and we'd go to a cinema or we would go to the footy or something like that, and sometimes we didn't get home till really, really late at night. And on one particular night, I remember this distinctly, we'd just come past Mitcham and we were nearly home, and Mike started telling me all these jokes, and he was absolutely hilarious, a really, really funny guy. He still is a funny guy. And all the way home, we're laughing, 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 we're cracking up. I nearly wet myself at one stage. And then I did, like all down the front of me, totally saturated. And I had to turn towards the door so nobody knew that I'd wet myself. And when we got to the station, I said, "See you later, Mike," because he had to go one way and I had to go the other. And I just took off half a K up the hill towards my house, past 2 people I knew, made sure I turned the other way and finally got home. Just a good thing that Mike never saw it. Oh. Okay, so now I'm about 22 years old and I'm living at a house here on Canterbury Road in Heathmont. But you see, to head towards the city, you had to drive out of the driveway, down the surface road, down to Bedford Road, do a U-turn, and then come back up Canterbury Road so you're facing in the right direction. And one day I'm driving this way, heading towards the cutting that you can see on the other side of the road here. And just as I'm approaching it, I see this rock land in front of a car in front of me. I thought, what is that? And I look up and there's this little kid in white pants and a white shirt, and he's throwing rocks at cars. And I'm thinking, I better stop him, he's going to kill somebody. So I pull up at Allen's Road down here and he sees me and runs 1,000 miles an hour that way. Now the trouble with that is I know Heathmont like the back of my hand. So I go down to the corner where I know he's going to appear, and when he comes around the corner I just jump out and say, "Hey, you can't throw rocks at cars." And immediately he instantaneously pees himself all the way down his legs out of his little white shorts. It's running down his socks and a little puddle appears on the ground in front of him. And so not to embarrass him, I try to just talk to him and not look at what's gone on. And I'm explaining to him, "Hey, you can't do that. You're going to really hurt somebody. Do you understand?" He nods at me. I said, "Okay, off you go." And he takes off as quickly as he possibly could to his house, wherever that was. And I'm only hoping that the distance he had to get home was not as far as I had to run from the station to my house. Yep, I know. I'm looking just a little bit formal for somebody who's about to tell their 3rd wee story in one day. And this one's a little bit different. I'm not going to pee my pants in a train, and I'm not going to cause some little kid to pee his own pants. This time I'm in an aeroplane heading to Perth with my new boss Brad as a Director of Sales Development. I've been training in the US for 5 weeks and I've just come back, and he wants to take me across to Western Australia to meet all of the directors there. There's 10 of them, and I think a couple of them are going to meet us at the airport. So we get in the plane and Brad's telling me what I should do, what I shouldn't do, to be careful with this one, to speak freely to this one, to not say too much and listen a lot and all that sort of stuff. So when he's finished, he said, "I'm going to sleep now." So he grabs this little pillow and he literally puts it beside him next to the window seat, and he falls asleep in about 15 seconds. I've never seen anybody do that before. I certainly can't do that in a plane. Anyway, I'm sitting by the aisle and I watch a movie for a while, and then when there's about an hour to go before we land in Perth, you know when somebody comes up behind you and you haven't seen it but you sort of sense that there's somebody there? Well, suddenly I become aware of that, and I look around and there's this very, very, very old and very, very frail old lady who's walking very slowly down the aisle of the aeroplane. But I notice as she gets to me, she's starting to fall very slowly. So I quickly grab her and say, "Hey, can somebody help me?" And as people do in aeroplanes, nobody helped. And so I've got her, but she's now a dead weight. She's actually out. And so I lower her onto the ground and I'm calling out, "Is there somebody that can help you, please?" And all of the stewards come up and they're trying to work out what's going on. And this lady is literally lying still on the ground. So I lie down while they're all talking. I lie down beside her and I'm talking to her. And somebody says, "I think she's dead." I said, "Well, if she is, she's very happy about it because she's smiling at me. She wasn't dead, but she certainly wasn't well." So for the next 15 minutes, they attended to her. And then when they'd finished, I started to pick her up. But when I got to about here, Brad wakes up and he looks at me with bleary eyes. He goes, "What are you doing to her?" I said, I'm not doing anything. And then he looks at me and he goes, what did she do to you? I said, what are you talking about? And then I become aware that my pants are sticking to my skin. And then I looked down at the carpet and realised that this woman, while she was lying on the ground, has completely wet herself, and there's this huge patch on the carpet that's just that black colour on the blue carpet that looks completely drowned with urine. And so I'm going, oh no. And now I'm completely drenched. And I look across to Brad for some sympathy, and he's laughing his head off. He thinks it's hilarious. So now I'm standing in front of everybody, and everybody's just gawking at me because they know exactly what's happened at this stage. And they're pretending not to laugh, but you can see the smiles all over their faces, and all the movies weren't that funny, I'm sure. They were just laughing at me. But now I've got 40 minutes before we get to Perth. And now I'm thinking, how do I meet the 3 directors at the airport if I am completely soaked? Not to mention I'm going to stink like crazy by the time we get into the airport. Eventually we do, and I stand up, and everybody doesn't stand up near me, so I got off the plane fairly quickly, but I'm thinking I need to hide, basically, because these 3 people are going to be there to greet us. Now, they've never met me before, and that's a bit of an advantage. So what I did was I got my little handbag thing, and I got out, and then I just ran straight past everybody, and I went down to the baggage place, and then I realised everybody's looking at me down there, and I thought, oh, nobody knows me, doesn't matter. I waited for my baggage, went into the toilets, got changed, and then came up to meet the directors, wearing a pair of shorts and a Snoopy t-shirt. And as I'm walking towards Brad, who's standing there with these 3 directors, with a big smile on his face, turns to them and says, well, ladies, this is your new Director of Sales Development, John Ramsden. I got no idea how I lasted 15 years in that company. How did you like that? Was that good? Like What?
And there was no poo in it.
No, oh, there wasn't any poo in it. It's just wee stories. Brinny, go and get the book.
Okay.
Do you know what book it is?
It's got the most poo in the...
Oh, here we go. What do they do with all the poo from all the animals at the zoo, the hippos and tigers and kangaroos? What do they do with all that poo? I wonder, don't you wonder too? Yes, I do. Well, my brother told me the other day that big trucks come and take it away. They mix it with all kinds of material and make it into...
children's breakfast cereal!
Yuck! But my sister said that's not right. She said that they pick it all up at night and they mix it all in a big machine.
And they make it into chocolate ice cream!
Is that disgusting?
Yeah.